The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, our Citizens Corner today, we're focusing on the security industry, in particular, the exploitation of security guards that has been documented in certain news articles where security guards who work for Mafoko Security have been raising alarm over their ill treatment within that particular organization. These are allegations that have also been raised on our platform, and it seems that the problems at Mafoko continue without very clear answers around how they're going to be solved. We did reach out to Mafoko Security to give them an opportunity to be part of this conversation, but they declined. So let me welcome onto the show Funzi Ngobeni, who is Action SA's Gauteng chairperson. Funzi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy, and good morning to the listeners of SAFM.
Frederick Mabasa is the national organizer, security industry, at the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa. Frederick, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy, and how are you in compliment of the news?
Thank you so much, Frederick. Later we'll be joined by Jack Bloom, who is the DA's Shadow MEC for Health in Gauteng. And then we'll also be joined by a security guard who will be telling us his story, having worked for that organization and now subsequently fired. He was positioned at the George Mukhari Hospital. So just last week then, further reports emanating of Mafoko security guards not being paid their December salaries. And these security guards are positioned at important sites in the country. They're positioned at national key points. They're positioned within the public sector at hospitals, as I've mentioned, and other sensitive public sites. Frederick, let me perhaps start with you because you have been working on the issues emanating out of Mafoko for a long time now. Speak to us about what makes them stand out, because you know, with the series that we did last year, what became clear is that there are issues concerning a number of companies within the security industry. But Mafoko is always prominent in those conversations. Why is it?
Okay, thanks, Katie. I must say that the reason why always Mafoko is on the news is because they are the one who are leading other security companies in terms of non-compliance. I will explain the reason why I'm saying this. There is a bargaining council in the country that regulates the working conditions of all security workers. Mafoko Security, together with other security companies, they decided not to recognize a bargaining council. And Mafoko Security is the only company that was leading all other security companies to make sure that they don't comply with the bargaining council in terms of paying the correct basic salaries and so forth. Now, today we are stuck with Mafoko Security because they are getting contracts from government and they always not pay employees on time. Sometimes they will choose the site or the province where they will start paying employees on time. The other group of people in other provinces, they don't pay them the salaries on time. So as union, NUMSA, together with other unions, we have been engaging with Mafoko and trying to understand as to why are they not paying employees their salaries on time. And when we ask them to clarify, they keep on telling us that, look, they have got financial issues. But when we said, share with us what are those challenges that makes you not to pay salaries on time, they don't specify which client is giving them a problem and so forth. So the issue of Mafoko, it has been going on for a very long time. There was a time whereby, as NUMSA, in particular myself, I wrote a letter to them. I even wrote a letter to one of their clients called AXA, Airport Company South Africa, asking them to AXA to intervene, because always members were embarking on unprotected strike because of the late payment of the salaries. But unfortunately, AXA management, they promised to intervene, but there was a time whereby they were no longer being available when we asked to meet with them. So that is the problem that we are experiencing. And some employees, they don't enjoy the benefits that are there in the security industry. So it's true that Mafoko, it's a problem, but it's not Mafoko alone. There are so many companies that are there. I will make an example with one security company called Mjayeli Security that was guarding Transnet around Gauteng, Northwest, Free State, and Northern Cape. The employees there, they were terminated last year through a Section 189, which is a retrenchment. 1,400 employees were terminated in October last year. Up until today, those workers, they did not receive their salaries for the month of October, their packages, their retrenchment packages. We are talking about 1,400 employees, and the rent value for that, those monies that are owed to employees is more than 50 million rand. So it's a problem that we are getting almost every day as trade unions.
And again, it just highlights the lack of compliance, but also regulation of the industry. Seems like it's easy for people to not do what is expected and get away with it, Frederick.
The Bargaining Council compel all companies to comply fully with the Bargaining Council. But in South Africa, Katie, we have got around 23,000 registered security companies. And if you go to Bargaining Council today and check as to how many security companies that are registered with the Bargaining Council, it's less than 5,000 security companies that are registered. In terms of the total employees that are employed in the industry, we are talking about up close to 1 million security officers. But officers that are registered with the Bargaining Council who are fully complying, it's around 400,000 security officers. So we have got around 600,000 security officers that are not enjoying the benefits in the bargaining in the industry, and their employers, they are not complying. The question that you need to ask as to what is it that we are doing in addressing this issue. You will recall since 2024, maybe you heard on the news, as unions, we have been marching to different provinces, different premier's offices to hand over a memorandum and ask the government to terminate all security companies that are doing business with government that are not complying. We have been in Northern Cape, we have been in Bulfontein. Last year, in November, we were in Limpopo. We even went to National Treasury, KZN, all the provinces. Yes, we are getting a slight improvement in other provinces. For example, in KZN, they had more than 65 companies that are registered that are doing business with government. Now, at least a few companies, they have starting to comply with the Bargaining Council. So, yeah, that is the problem that we are experiencing. But what is more painful is that after we marched to Limpopo Premier's office, Popira-Matuba, we were called in a meeting in the first week of December. We met with the senior staff in the office of Premier. We asked the security workers who are guarding the office of Premier if their company is complying or not. To our surprise is that the company that is guarding Premier's office is not complying. Provident fund are being deducted, not being sent to the fund.
Sure.
Health insurance monies are being deducted, not sent to Affinity Health that is there to help them when they get sick and so forth. So it's really painful what is going on in the country.
Frederick, thank you for that context that you have laid, and there are a number of things that I would want us to pick up on. Joining the conversation is Jack Bloom of the DA in Gauteng. Jack, I know that you can't be with us for long, so let me give you an opportunity then to speak to some of these issues around Mafoko Security. But as we're hearing, it extends even beyond that. But I guess the part of the reason why Mafoko is also a focal point is because they seem to have very significant contracts with the government.
Yes, they have huge security contracts, particularly with the Gauteng Health Department, but also the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, where I'm actually speaking to you from at this moment, is also guarded from them. And, they haven't been paid their December salaries. But with regard to Gauteng hospitals, there's been scandals after scandals with security contracts with Gauteng hospitals. In my view, it's gone up more than 3 times over the last 5 years, and I think it's very suspicious. I think there's corruption involved, and I think they're exploiting the workers. They get paid about 25,000 Rand a month for each security guard, but if you ask guards at the hospitals, they'll tell you they're being paid probably 6,000 Rand, and we don't even know if they're employing as many guards as they claim they should be employing. And in the case of Mafoko, they have a 60 million Rand contract annual contract with the Dr. George Macquarie Hospital, and constant complaints there. And of course, there's been a High Court judgment regarding the payments. There's controversy at the moment about paying over of their Provident Fund money. If you don't pay over money set aside for Provident Fund, that's actually a criminal offence. So I asked the Gauteng Health Department, because there's constant problems with late payment, non-payment, alleged non-payment of Provident Fund money. What are they going to do with it? Not just Mafoko. I think there's other security companies involved as well. And the Gauteng Health Department, yes, they've got an agreement with them, and they said amazingly they didn't know anything about this current High Court judgment, which I think is astonishing, but I alerted it to them, and they claim that they're going to enforce the contract with Mafoko specifically, and other companies that I've raised with them about specifically this issue about paying over Provident Fund money and also paying their workers on time. Now, I asked these questions 3 months ago in the Gauteng legislature, and it doesn't seem to me that it's being fixed up and taken serious enough by the Gauteng Health Department. So what I would like to see is an overhaul of all these security contracts. I think we need to get ethical companies who make sure that it's above board, and that from a Gauteng Health point of view, that there's value for money. It's paying a huge amount for. It's gone up. It's triple. The amount spent in hospital security company has gone up 3 times in the last 5 years. I don't think it's justified by conditions on the ground. It seems to me that it's a rip-off and that people are making money out of it, and in fact, they're not even paying their workers.
Jack, I'm going to pause it there. If you're able to if you can just hang on for an extra 5 minutes for me, because there's 1 or 2 things I want to pick up on, particularly around George Macquarie, but it's time for me to head over to the news desk for the latest headline.
#SAFM Talking Point.
We continue with our Citizens Watch this morning, and the spotlight was shining on the security industry and zooming in on Mafoko Security in particular, following the latest bout of allegations being leveled against them. Funzi Ngobeni is the Action SA Gauteng chairperson. Frederick Mabasa is the national organizer, security industry at NUMSA. And Jack Bloom is the DA Shadow MEC for Health in Gauteng. So Jack, let me pick up with you and talk about George Macquarie Hospital, where you say that Mafoko Security has a 60 million Rand contract to provide security there. When there've been issues that the security workers at George Macquarie had been raising, not only around their conditions of employment, but just the difficulties that they're having when they try to have these matters attended to by Mafoko. Several of those security guards have been fired by Mafoko Security. Is this something that you're aware of? And what needs to happen when the situation is like this? Because surely a company can't operate, treat people badly, and expect that they're going to keep quiet and just take the abuse.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I've had security guards contact me directly, and I'm aware about late payments, non-payments, and this issue about paying over the Provident Fund. I think the root of the problem is that the Gauteng Health Department is not sufficiently rigorous when they do the selection process for their contracts. And to be frank, I do suspect corruption. The previous security contracts were awarded in 2016. They were supposed to be for a 2-year period. And then there was an investigation which found that they were awarded irregularly. So instead of cancelling them after 2016, which was supposed to be a 2-year period, so even then they would have expired by 2018, Gauteng Health Department rolled them over month by month, can you believe it, for up till about 2 years ago. And the Auditor General complained about it all the time. And it just shows me, it just shows you how corrupt the whole thing is, that they kept rolling over these irregularly awarded contracts. So after a lot of pressure on the Auditor General complaining about irregular expenditure, they re-awarded, they opened up the process to re-award contracts, and the budget exploded. So it went up 3 times. And to me, in a hospital like Johannesburg Hospital, they're spending 73 million rand a year on hospital security. Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital spending 78 million rand just on security. 5 years ago, Charlotte Mafoko Hospital was spending only 30 million rand a year. Suddenly it's sort of doubled and tripled. And I find that highly suspicious. They've justified it because they say they have to pay the guards extra, that the rate has gone up. But as I said to you earlier, they're being paid roughly 25,000 rand per guard. If you work out, you divide the number of workers by what they're being paid. And the guards are getting nowhere near that. And it seems that this is the way that the companies are making their money, is that they're ripping off the Gauteng Health Department, they're ripping off the guards, they are not providing a decent service, because you can't provide a decent service if your workers are not happy, and they're certainly not happy. And the Gauteng Health Department now claims that they do have oversight on it. They used to say, look, we've hired a contractor, and we don't have any control over their working conditions of workers. But they now claim that part of the new contract was that they do have oversight over how they treat their workers. But the fact that this has been going on for so long, that the Gauteng Health Department has ignored it for so long, and I do have it in writing now, because I got a reply to a written question of mine that said, yes, we are going to act with regard to Mafoko. They said they were going to write to Mafoko Security and ask them about this. I would think they should do something stronger than that. But here we are in the new year, many workers still not paid, lots of people very upset about whether the Provident Fund money has been paid over or not. That's a criminal offence if you haven't paid it over. So in the case of the Gauteng Health Department, also the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, where they haven't been paid, clearly this company is not doing its obligations. And I think, quite frankly, criminal charges need to be laid if necessary, and it seems it is justified. And their contract needs to be reviewed. Why are we paying huge amounts of money for them to guard hospitals, also the Gauteng Provincial Legislature itself, to a company that's behaving so unethically with regard to its workers?
Okay. Jack, thank you for that contribution. Jack Bloom there of the DA. Funzi, you as Action SA believe that part of the answer to this problem must be around insourcing. Listening to the numbers that Jack Bloom was running through, this is clearly big money. I mean, just based on the work that Mafoko has in Gauteng alone, could easily reach half a billion rand.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Casey. No, I've been listening to my colleagues, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, this is exactly why outsourcing is broken. When something goes wrong, the company disappears. Government will say, no, it's a contract issue, and the workers stand alone, and it is our view, listening to Jack, and we appreciate the oversight he's doing and that he has been doing over the years. But we are of the view, Casey, that oversight without structural change only means that we will be here again next year with another unpaid worker, and workers are right to be angry, but we are also of the view that anger alone doesn't fix the system, and we think that insourcing is how we're going to turn that anger into justice, because indeed we have been calling for municipal government across the country, and we're calling for the provincial government and the national government to insource security guards and cleaners in particular, because we are of the view that in many instances with regards to security guards, we don't need specialized skills. And in the event that there is a need for specialized skills, that part of the work can still be outsourced. But really looking after our buildings, looking after the boom gates, and ensuring that the entrances are guarded, we can do that with our workers, that we can be able to pay them on time, that we can ensure that they get the benefits that they deserve, but most importantly, that they are able to get the dignity that they so deserve. Some of the security guards and Kathy, they have been working in these institutions for many years. What they have seen is companies coming and going, and most of those companies treating them really with disdain and with unfairness of the highest order. And we are of the view that time for talking about oversight and talking about this and that, it's over, because I agree with the union leader there that Mafoko is not just the company that is giving us the problem. The problem is the system that keeps recycling this same kind of companies into public contracts. Yes, Mafoko keeps coming up because outsourcing allows it. Their contract keeps extending, and if you dig deep and you try to find out who they are linked to, this Mafoko and other security, you'll actually find that they are probably linked to senior officials, and they are linked to certain politicians, so that they then get kickbacks when this company starts ill-treating the official. I mean, what is the reason for Mafoko when they won a tender that says pay a security guard 20,000 per month, and then they go out and pay that security guard 6,000, and they pocket the rest of the money? It's injustice. It's criminal. And the point you made at the beginning, Casey, it actually confirms our view, because you raised an issue of security, because some of these institutions are key point institutions in the country. And you can imagine an unhappy security guard, the one that goes home every time and has to explain to the family why they are bringing so little money when they are working all these hours. It demoralizes them. It actually makes them even dangerous for government itself. So it's something that is structural. It can only be resolved by structural change, and the structural change that we are proposing is insourcing of the security guard.
In the absence of insourcing as a solution being taken up by the government, what other solutions do you think are possible within the current framework?
Look, insourcing is possible, Casey. It is the solution. I don't see any other solutions. We are doing oversight. We are asking right questions. We are asking, government to hold these companies accountable. But every day, we are talking about Mafoko.
So sorry to come in there, Fonzi. So if you had a situation where there was perhaps more being done to attend to concerns. So if you have a company like Mafoko that, as you can hear from Jack Bloom, he's taken up in council, and there are all of these steps that people can point to. Frederick has been talking about how he took it up through different platforms, but at every point there's just no response. So there's lack of accountability. There's no will to actually hold the company accountable. If that was different, do you think that the situation would be better?
Kitty, can I clarify something in assisting you on this?
Yes,
question?
Go ahead.
The security industry are being regulated by CIRA. One may ask a question as to where is CIRA in this case? Allow me to say that as unions, we met with CIRA on the 25th of June in KZN last year, after we marched to Premier's office in Pietermaritzburg to hand over a memorandum complaining about the same issues. What we said with CIRA was that CIRA, when the company want to renew their license, the company must provide a certain information that will make them to get the license get renewed. The first issue was that they need to provide the proof that employees are being registered with the Provident Fund, and the total number of employees are the same number of employees that are registered with the bargaining Provident Fund should be the same with the one that will be registered with the Bargaining Council, Insurance, SARS, and UIF. Now, CIRA agreed to say, in principle, they are going to send out a memorandum of understanding so that we'll enter into that agreement between labor unions, the Bargaining Council, and CIRA. Because if we don't fix this, if CIRA don't come forward and address this thing, we'll continue to have this particular problem going forward. If a security officer gets arrested and end up having a criminal record, CIRA will not renew the license of that security worker. But CIRA continue to renew the licenses of all security companies that are doing wrong things. Yes, I agree with the view of insourcing some of security officers, but what about other companies that may not be able to insource? What are we saying to them? CIRA is the one who's supposed to help us to resolve this issue by making sure that they don't renew a license of any security company that is not complying, because their licenses, it's valid for 12 months. How did Mafoko get license last year, knowing very well that they are not complying? How did other security companies get their license in 2025? We know in 2026 their licenses is going to be renewed while they are doing the wrong thing. So CIRA, one way or the other, need to help accountable or responsible for it.
So why do you think CIRA keeps doing this?
Look, we don't know why CIRA, they don't want to come forward. We are the one who asked a meeting with them. They promised to come back to us as labor unions together with Bargaining Council in order to sign a memorandum of understanding or agreement. Up until today, they did not come back to us. So this is the problem that we are facing. And of course, we will be meeting with some of other unions on the 20th next week on Tuesday, formulating the wage demands for the upcoming wage negotiations for security workers. And we need to come up with a way forward as unions to say we need to go and confront CIRA again, because this problem will keep on coming again.
Let me bring in some of our listeners to contribute to this conversation. Before I do that, Funzi, is there something that you may have wanted to add?
Yeah, no, Casey, I was going to say, look, there are a number of things, and I'm happy that the union leader has outlined from the side of CIRA. But we are saying in the current contracts that are there, government can do much to protect workers. The government must build into this contract that guarantee workers are paid directly if the company fails to pay them. Not weeks later, but they must be paid immediately. Government can still, ensure that there are stronger penalties. Any company that pays late must lose the contract and be blacklisted from public work. There must be monitoring, obviously, that needs to happen. I don't know. These contracts, are they performance-based contracts? How workers are treated is not counting as part of that performance-based contract. But the honest truth, Katie, is that all these things are damage control measures. The real solution for us is insourcing, because as long as we continue to outsource the dignity of our workers, you will always be chasing crisis after crisis instead of preventing them.
All right. Let me bring on a Makamu. Makamu, you are one of the individuals who are stationed at George Mukari Hospital under Mafoko Security. You have been raising concerns around working conditions there. Just very briefly, speak to us about what it is that you were experiencing and the issues that you were raising with your employer at the time, which is Mafoko Security.
Yes, Kathy?
Yes, Makamu? Did you hear my question?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was working at George Mukari Hospital in Karankuwa, and under Mafoko Security Company. If you remember, Kathy, I always complaining with this thing. After all, they started to target me that I am the influencer. And then when we are not getting paid, when we complain, you are going to be fired. You are subject to go to a hearing, and they fire you. And they fire a lot of people. And because of what? They put their relatives and everything, because they hear the rumor that the security officers, they are going to be insourced there at George Mukari. And they fire a lot of people. They put their own people from vendor. They take their relatives and everything. And other thing, I write a letter to them complaining as anonymous. I don't know which inspired them to target me all over. They say I'm wrong because I was not afraid to tell everything to the manager and everything. After all, when they fire me, they were not want to give me my papers for UIF. They were used to deduct my money, about 1,000 something. SARS, kati ayiko SARS, provident fund, baba deduct about 457 every month. Ayi ake check amola bari ayi hotelete ewe, and since 2022, about deduct chelete ewe at the provident fund about 457. One of the day kabona ko pay sleeping una union bari kau irinkela di 50 rand mara area joina nna ka etsa investigation ka fonela batho ba kau bari ba tlotla ko George Mukari mara aga ba botho le ska buo re ke makamo ke tsebore ba ka ba buile ba mpimpa na ba tla batho ba kau tle ntato mongwe ba re ke balloon ha tla mola amfonela re mo gating ka tswa ka ya ko gating ka bona le bona ka dikhoneni ha ke bona ka dikhoneni ba re bona ba ya go bua le magadi o re bona ba tsebisilo o country ha ba nye go joina magadi ba tlo joina ba hani ba na le client from Mafoko company ba bitsa batho ba la ba managera bene nka se ba tshoka mabitso batho ba la ba fonela headquarter ko Hatfield ha ba fonela headquarter ya batho ba le ska ba rumella ba kene ba ba thibela jwalo bo la bana ba ba go explain hore na re nke dithelete tsa lona ha re kuro re company e nka dithelete tsa lona ka lebitso la runa a re ane re na le client o tswa ko Mafoko. You understand? Abantu target until they fire me because they put their relatives, because of our enforcement, George Mukari. And the thing I want to help, I need my provident fund money and my money which they're deducting for the union, which I didn't join, and the charity I 1,000 every month by SARS, powering company, it's a number IBR, what? I give a phone mail, a mola, na yona number BR it's a refuwa ka batho ba bangwe ya ba re file re tla ufa ene ke maka ntwe ba e buao ene ke kule guest how come the company which is not complying get the tenders from the government, whereas they are not complying? They work all over, even legislature. They are not paying the workers. This government of ours, they are failing us. From 2024 kataba area security mara ari una mo barinkela utlong kurori una le batho ba etapili ba jali yona company eo.
Sure.
Yeah, I need the help. Wa tseba ke rula ke bua le wena of the time ke kopa thuso le no ke ruti mo mkukuni ke a safare abana baka abasaya le skoloni ko Limpopo tšhelete yaka ijiwe itsamaile ona no ke ruti batho ba bereka ko George Mkhari ba re utla ba le enforcement banka di relatives tsa bona uri ba tlo ba kenya mo ba bereke fase government. It's a corruption like the city of Johannesburg when they insource the security officers. A lot of people they've been insourced whereas they are not beneficiaries. Mara, we have a government which is not committed to its people. Corruption is killing our country. I'm telling by it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Look, Ntate Makamo, I understand, your frustration because you are now living, in the consequences of the actions of the security company, and their inability to respond to worker complaints, their inability to be compliant. For those that didn't understand, Makamo was stationed at George Mukhari Hospital, and he's just been detailing the abuse that they took on as workers, not being paid on time, having all of these deductions being made, raising other issues around conditions of employment that went ignored. And when he started to raise these issues, he was identified as the troublemaker and ultimately fired. And he also says that they're now firing, or they fired many other security guards due to speculation that they will be insourcing at George Mukhari Hospital. So they're putting in some of their relatives, family members. And he basically is saying the reason why he believes Mafoko Security gets away with what they're doing is because they have connections with people that are powerful. Anonymous, you're in Boksburg. Good morning.
Morning, Kathy. Thank you for bringing this industry in the public. You know what? I need to talk about this industry at large, not only Mafoko. I heard that you talk about Mafoko especially. But the issue here is about the whole industry, my sister. You know what? This thing, it cannot be corrected by now. And then the one should correct this thing is the minister itself, because we are suffering as a securities. I'm talking to you, I'm a substrat where I'm working right now. We've been in and out in that bargaining council. The bargaining council is for the capitalists. I must say that. Because if you are a worker, you will suffer in this country. SIRA also is involved in that. Because, you know what? I'll give, for example, you know what? A holiday is no longer a holiday now in my company that I'm working for. It's no longer a holiday because they will tell you no. If your holiday is involved in one of your shift, they will pay you normal. Then the other hours they will make it as an overtime. They say if you coming for they call you to come in overtime, you are not belonging to a shift. They will tell you that no. It's when they are going to pay you as a public holiday. This is what we're suffering. You know what I'm blaming here? Actually, we're blaming here. We are blaming the former Minister of Labour, that Mr. Nesi. He's the one who signed that thing, is in that bargaining council. Because why? I'll get another thing is that you cannot have whereby a foreigner must have a union. That guy is in that bargaining council is from Zimbabwe. Then his surname is Moyo. So how come a foreigner can come and form a union in the country? That's where things come going wrong. That's where corruption is getting wrong. And 2 years back, we reported this to one of the in that Sira in Pretoria, whereby the name by Katlego, he has himself come straight to the company where I'm working. He himself straight find the foreigner and then this foreigner doesn't have papers, and he promised to put us there, to bring the company in the disciplinary hearing. Since then, no one is responding to everything. The company here I'm working is employing people which are undocumented in the country. So we suffer because as South African, we are paying a SIRA, but SIRA doesn't care of us. There are people who don't have documents. They are working in the companies. It's not only my company, that the whole one. If we can, my sister, if you can please help us bring the minister here and check what was signed on that bargaining council, the law can be changed there. That is not for the workers, it's for the employers, not the employees. That bargaining council. That's all that I can say for now.
All right, Anonymous. Thanks for that contribution. Quite a mouthful. Frederick, let me perhaps give you an opportunity to respond, in particular because you also touched on the issue of the bargaining council.
Katie, I must say that I want to differ with the last speaker in relation to a bargaining council being there to protect employers. It's not true. Yes, bargaining council do have challenges, and the speaker mentioned the name of one person who is not a South African, who was coming from a union called GAU, who was part of the bargaining council, and as the bargaining council's representative. Unions, we raised this concern sort of with this individual, and I can confirm that the man, Mr. Kumulan Moyo, is no longer part of the bargaining council. He has been removed. The speaker is correct there. But in terms of the bargaining council itself, I must say that there is a need that we need to have further discussions about how the bargaining council operates. Bargaining council don't protect only employers; they do protect even employees. Like I said earlier on, we are as labor, we are busy formulating collecting the wage demands in preparation for 2027 wage increase that we are going to start with the negotiations this year. So the bargaining council do help. Unfortunately, majority of companies, like I said earlier on, they don't comply.
Okay.
Companies that are complying, you will not hear employees complaining like this.
All right. Thanks. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. We will pick up on this conversation at a later date, hopefully within the next month, to get some kind of an update. It certainly is not one of those conversations that we will leave hanging, because there's still so many questions that need to be answered. And most importantly, a sense of justice, right? We have to believe in the right thing being done. We can't allow a situation where organizations treat people wrongly and they get away with it. We can't allow that.